And as an overview of sales as a role, as and the type of people in sales today, do you think that's changed from what your experience throughout your career? Do you think the caliber of salespeople, the skill sets, the type of people being attracted to it, do you think it's changed much? I had a conversation, I've had a few conversations about this actually. I said to my daughter, if I said to you, can you go and phone such and such? And you come back an hour later, did you phone such and such? She went, yeah, I sent them an email. No, no, that's not the same thing, is it? And it's just a mindset. When we started out, we couldn't send an email; we had to pick up the phone. But do you think that's just one example of how selling has changed and that relationship development? And do you think that plays a part in the process of how sales has developed and whether do people want to do the hard things, pick up the phone and do the hard stuff?
It's a really interesting point because rebel and resist against the sales has changed mantra. I don't think it has. I genuinely don't believe it has. I think it's still the same as it was 250 years ago. I think what's changed is the wrapper that it sits in. And, ever since I've been in the industry and 20, 30 years before that, there's been the next sales process, medpick, gap selling, Sandler. It's all the same pig with just different lipstick. And that's all it is. And we should accept the fact that that's a good thing, because what it means really is for 250 years, sales has been sales and it hasn't changed. And therefore we must have found the right way to do it. The problem we've got is two things. First of all, one or two people in the past have screwed it up for everybody else, predominantly in the 80s, I suspect, when that big shift towards sort of seller-centric selling where it was more about hard closing, getting results, and broadly speaking, it was all about hitting targets and smashing the phones, because that's what the economy demanded at the time, and it was relatively new, and therefore people would try it. Obviously, that doesn't work anymore, but you still got to have a conversation with someone who's got a problem. You still got to get on with each other, and you've got to find a solution that works for you both. That's called sales, and that hasn't changed whether it was 1980 or it's today. So I think first and foremost, it's still the same thing. There are still people in the marketplace that are brilliant at it, and some not so good, and that won't change. Yeah, it's a funny industry, and it's a weird one, isn't it, as well? Because I do a bit of speaking every now and again. I was at an event a couple of weeks ago where I delivered something called the 10 Sales Truths to a room full of about 35 people, and most of those people in the room, because sales is intriguing, and I think deep down they wouldn't admit it, but they want to go there and hear what are the dark arts, what are the Jedi mind tricks,
Yeah,
what are those.
secrets.
Yeah, what are the secrets? How do you
Yeah.
close someone? And it's all BS at the end of the day. At the end of the day, it's a very logical step-by-step process that we overcomplicate, and that we, for whatever reason, we still have got to try and find some way of shedding that stereotypical skin which says sales is a bad thing. It isn't. It's an incredibly good thing. It's fundamentally important for any business. You show me any business owner that says sales isn't their number one priority, and I'll show you a liar,
Yeah.
because it is. Because if you've got no sales, you've got no business. Nothing happens till someone sells something instead. And so it's such a critical part of business. And I think there is still that little bit of intrigue, and it's a very interesting topic. And finally, on the point, because not enough people are willing to invest the time to learn their craft, to understand what works and what doesn't, shelve the stuff that doesn't work and double down on what does, there are so few of us that actually you do sort of stand out a little bit and create this kind of stigma in a positive way. I think that's also part of the intrigue too.